Hello fellow woodworkers and makers of all kinds, this is Aaron from Peck Woodworkers bringing you a little video on my multiple guitar stand. This project was made by Frieza36 from Instructables. He does a great job with the build, so go check that out first. I'll throw a link in the description. This video will mostly cover changes and mistakes I made when I built my own. Now onto the stand itself. It consists of a simple base with uprights and then boards running across the bottom and top as supports for the guitars themselves. Now all the places where the guitars actually touch the stand are covered in pipe insulation to keep the guitars from scratching and to hold them in there firmly. Now I started with cheap 2x4 and 2x2 stock to keep the price down, but as a result it had some pretty bad twisting going on, and I countered that by first planing them to get a flat face. And the best way to know that you have a flat board is to draw pencil marks all over the one side, and then when you send it through the planer and it comes out the other side, you can see where the planer didn't hit the board by where the pencil marks are left. Now if you send it through and you don't have any marks when it comes out the other side, you know that you have a perfectly flat edge or face, or at least as close as it's going to get. Now I took it to the joiner to get that squared off edge. By pressing the flat face against the joiner fence, I was able to just send it through and get that right angle I was looking for. Now onto the planer again. I was able to put that flat face that I just made the last time down onto the planer bed, and then when I sent it through, it gave me a parallel face. So with 3 of the 4 edges done, it's onto the table saw. At this point, I ripped my boards down to 3 inches for the 2x4s and 1.25 inches for the 2x2 boards. At this point, the lumber was milled and it was time to mark out holes and drill baby drill. I fastened my frame together with pocket screws. My runner boards were secured to the frame by a couple simple screws into a recessed hole. The next support, or peg board if you will, was prepared by first drilling pilot holes where I wanted my 8 pegs located, then followed by a 1-inch Forstner bit to create a 1/2-inch deep cavity for the pegs to fit in. Now the pegs themselves, I wanted mine to extend about 4 inches from the board, so I cut my dowel into 4.5-inch segments. I achieved this by setting a fence on the miter saw, which has a pretty good way of spitting out dowels. This isn't necessarily dangerous, they just sort of roll away, but it's a good idea to use this, which is the proper setup. By putting in a V-block, it makes sure to catch those dowels so they don't go spinning off onto your workshop floor and you have to go chase after them. Trust me, that's not a lot of fun. Now at this point I went ahead and threw my pocket screws in as well. These joints were pretty loose. Perhaps I set the jig wrong, or pine was too soft, or I shouldn't have sent my screws through the end grain. Maybe a combination of all these. In any case, support was needed. So what I did was I cut a 45-degree angle onto a strap piece of pine, clamped it in place, and drew a line where I wanted to cut it on the other side. Then just cut it, drilled pilot holes, countersunk them, and screwed the board on. Make sure to countersink deep enough though, because split boards are no fun. Now that pretty much concluded my assembly. This is about as far into the process that I actually remembered to take a picture of it, so I apologize. But as you can see, that's how that should be coming together for you at this point, except it will of course have the pegs along this row here. Now at this point you just need to sand, sand, sand. Sand it until it feels nice, you don't have any splinters or anything sticking out. Really, you don't have to take it above like a 200, 220 grit sandpaper, something like that should be nice. And then for finish, I just took some clear stain, old natural stain that we had sitting around, and that was it. It looks pretty nice. Now it's just time for the foam. And the foam is pretty simple. You just take a piece long enough to cover your bottom board first, and then secure it with staples on the other side. And then the pegs are a bit tougher. You have to cut an X right over where the peg is, and then just slide the foam on over it, and you can go ahead onto the back side of that board as well, and then just do right there, a bunch of staples, you know. And then you just have to cut a couple more pieces, probably about 4 inches long, to slide over your pegs to cover those up, and then just staple it all on. By the end of this, you're going to be pretty sick of stapling, but trust me, the results are worth it. And with that, your stand should be pretty well done at this point. You could always add a couple of feet for the bottom there, just some quick little pegs in there, but I decided that wasn't really important to me. I just threw it on the carpet, it's working fine. Right now I'm holding 5 guitars on there, 2 basses, 1 electric, and 2 acoustic, and pretty soon I should be adding another one on there once I finish truss rod adjustments on it. So yeah, this is definitely a great little jig to have around. I do not at all regret building it, even with all the mistakes that occurred during it. It looks a lot nicer than just a bunch of random stands and guitars leaning against a wall. Well, that concludes my video, guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.